Hey, welcome back to the course. So in this video, let's talk about debugging an application using OpenSTM32 System Workbench. So remember that in the section Embedded Code Debugging Tools and Tips, I thoroughly discussed about lots of debugging options available in the IDEs, like breakpoints, stepping in, stepping out, step over, disabling and re-enabling breakpoints, call stack, watch windows, memory windows, etc. And in these videos I actually use Keel as my primary IDE. Now the students who are not using Keel IDE, you can follow those videos by using Eclipse as your IDE or OpenSTM32 System Workbench as your IDE. So in order to debug a code which is running in your target, so you have to right click on the project and then select debug as. So debug as this one, AC6 STM32 C and C++ application, or you can go here, click over here and then click over debug as and then click over here. So either way you can do. So when I click that, so here you can see that the Eclipse is trying to change the perspective. So there are two perspectives in this development. One is your code editing perspective, that what we call as editing perspective or C and C++ perspective, and another one is debug perspective. Now the Eclipse is asking, do you want to open another perspective, that is debug perspective? Now you should click yes here, and now the debug perspective has opened and it has multiple windows. And here you can see that the debug window here, and this is like a dashboard where you can see the status of variables of your code, breakpoints, where and all breakpoints is set, register details like the internal register details of the processor, as well as microcontroller peripheral registers, and all those details you can get. So this is like a dashboard. And after that, this is the log section here, and this is your source code, and currently the code is not running. Remember, it is just halted at this location, and in order to run the code you have to press this button, resume. So this is like a run button in Keel. So when I click this, code will start running. So now let me just click it. Now the code is running, and if you want to stop it, you just click over this icon here, suspend. The code will stop wherever it is. So now currently it is halted at this location, and you can also use a single step over all these options in order to debug the code line by line. So remember that when I cover all those debugging tools and tips in this section, the people who are using OpenSTM32 System Workbench are expected to follow the same lectures using this as your primary IDE if you cannot able to use Keel. And if you want to come back to your editing perspective, you just have to click over here. So this is a C and C++ perspective. So when I click over here, I can see that the debug is still going on at the background, but I have come to the editing perspective. Now if you want to terminate the debug session, you can just click over here, terminate, or you can either go back to the debug perspective by clicking over here, and you can terminate here, or you can press the Ctrl F2 button. When I click this button, you can see that the debug session has terminated, and then you can come back to your C and C++ perspective by clicking over here. Alright, so this is a very basic debugging thing related to OpenSTM32 System Workbench, and I cover more debugging steps in this section. Alright, great. So I will see you in the next lecture.